Chief Wesley.
I would like to respectfully ask for a moment of silence. My member passed away at 5:14 p.m.
Miigwech, Chief Wesley. We are now out of the in-camera session. We are on live. Chief Wesley, can I just get you to repeat that? And I'll ask everybody to stand. Chief Wesley, if I can ask you to repeat so that they can hear you online.
I am just asking respectfully that we take a moment of silence as one of my band members has just passed away at 5:14, and as a result of the subject that we were discussing this afternoon. Thank you. Miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you, Chiefs. And our thoughts and our prayers are with the community of Cat Lake, as well as the other communities that were mentioned in the session that we just had. So we'd like to get right into the resolutions. I don't have them numbered, so I'm just going to look at the screen to see what goes up first, and I just need confirmation of the resolutions. Okay, I'm told that the first one should be support for coroner's inquest on blastomycosis. So can I get confirmation of the resolution number for the record? 2205, thank you. Actually, just can I get confirmation? I was asked if we can do the support for the coroner's inquest. There we go. Okay, so that'll be 2205. It's one page. I'll go through, it's titled Support for Coroner's Inquest on Blastomycosis. Whereas Constance Lake First Nation has experienced an outbreak of blastomycosis, which resulted in 5 community member deaths. Whereas this outbreak of fungal infection is a unique situation affecting a high number of members per capita, which places it as a high emergency crisis in the community. Whereas a letter was written by affected family members to the Department of Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Minister Mark Miller and Indigenous Services Canada Minister Haidu requesting support for a coroner inquest on May 6, 2022. Whereas the requested inquest would identify specific facts contributing to the crisis in the areas of an education campaign on blastomycosis, orange transportation, medical care, medical staff training, infrastructure services, and availability of human resources. Whereas family members of one of the deceased members of Constance Lake First Nation met the Chief Coroner of Ontario on May 11th, 2022 to discuss and share their experiences of the crisis and the death of their son. Whereas the outcome of the discussion recommend the identification of other avenues to aggressively resolve the inquest process, since there is a backlog of hundreds of cases in queue, and that other government agencies and departments must act in partnership to allocate financial resources to address this important issue crisis. Whereas this crisis is still in existence and has not been resolved, although the geoscience experts and physicians continue to investigate, but has not found the source of the blastomycosis. Whereas Constance Lake First Nation members continue to live in high anxiety and worries for their children and fear of repeat occurrence given the source has not yet been located, and this inquest is necessary to shed light on the ongoing health crisis. Therefore, be it resolved that NAN Chiefs and Assemblies support the demand of Constance Lake First Nation that the appropriate federal ministries partner with the Chief Coroner of Ontario to expedite a coroner's inquest, to provide resources, to identify the facts of the Constance Lake crisis, and to make a recommendation or to make recommendations to improve the healthcare system in Northeastern and Northwestern Ontario. dated at Thunder Bay, Ontario, this 12th day of May 2022. Moved by Chief Ramona Sutherland, Constance Lake First Nation. Seconded by proxy Mandy LaBelle, Ganugaming First Nation, both of which are in the room. Any comments on the resolution? Chief Sutherland, you are joining virtually. I don't know if you have any comments. I know you did make a presentation earlier. Chief Sutherland. So I don't see that Chief Sutherland has any comments. Proxy LaBelle, any comments on the resolution? No comments. Okay, floor is open. Any comments?
Wajay, I was muted earlier, so I couldn't speak.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you very much for this meeting and for your support. This is very important, not only for Constance Lake and what happened, but for future to prevent any such outbreak in our communities. It's a horrible, horrible situation where 5 people have passed away. And you all know how closely related we are in the community. So when 5 people pass away, the entire community, including officer band members, are severely affected. And we have to continue living our lives without our friends and families. So an inquest is a must so that we can prevent continued exposure of blastomycosis, and that the government is on side to help us when and if we ever need services from the hospitals, Orange transportation, including the major hospitals in the major cities. Miigwech for your support.
Miigwech, Chief Sutherland. The floor is open. Any comments or questions on the resolution before you? Second call. Any comments? I have to remember we're on virtual as well, so I'm going to get our co-chairs to keep an eye. Third call, any comments on the resolution? I see none, so here's how we're going to do it. We are in the room, but we're also on virtual. I'm going to call, so this is the process. I'm not doing it yet. I'm going to call to see if there's any opposition, and then I'll see if there's any abstentions. And then at that point, if there aren't any, we will pass the resolution. So, any opposition to the resolution? Any opposition to the resolution? Third call, just for virtual. Any opposition to the resolution? I see none. Any abstentions? Second call, any abstentions? Third call, any abstentions? I see none, so resolution is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll do one more. And then we'll turn it over to one of our co-chairs. So if I can see the next resolution up on the screen, I will know which one to go with. Okay, so this is resolution 2206, support for Nan Hope's public health measures project. Again, this is sort of in relation to some of the discussion. I will not bother reading the preamble. I will not bother reading the whereas. You do have it in front of you. You have it up on the screen, but it's in reference to Nan Hope. Actually, well, what I'm going to do is, because it's important, actually, I realize now, I'm just going to read the first few whereas. So again, resolution 2206, titled Support for Nan Hope's Public Health Measures Project. Whereas Nan Hope is a First Nation-led program from Kiwetnagogmakanag eHealth Telemedicine Services, KO eHealth, and Dalton Associates that offers mental health, addiction, and crisis support to all Nan community members by telephone, web chat, and text message 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Whereas Nan Hope was created in August 2020 as a response to the limited in-community mental health and addiction supports being further restricted by the public health measures associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. So you have the rest of the preamble there. I will not read the rest of it, but if we can go down to the bottom. Therefore, be it resolved that Nan Chiefs and Assembly support the request to ISC to fund the Nan Hope Public Health Measures Project beyond its initial 2-month investment and to sustain the project until at least March 31st, 2023. Further, be it resolved that the Nan Executive Council is mandated to advocate for Nan Hope's request to ISC to extend funding for the Nan Hope Public Health Measures Project until at least March 31st, 2023. That's, I think, the same further be resolved. Finally, be it resolved that this resolution is without prejudice to similar existing and future initiatives, projects, or proposals developed by Nan First Nations, tribal councils, and other First Nation entities. And in addition, this resolution shall not interfere with First Nations communities' access to funding. Dated at Thunder Bay, Ontario, this 12th day of May 2022, moved by proxy David Mikas, Deer Lake First Nation, and proxy Mikas is here. Seconded by Chief Lorraine Crane, Slate Falls First Nation, who is not in the room at the moment. So if she's not in the room, I will require a seconder. Do I have a seconder to the resolution? Frank McKay, proxy for Gojijing First Nation. I'll just have that noted on the resolution. So I'm going to open it up for comments. First to proxy David Mikas, Deer Lake. Any comments? Oh, no mic. Do you want a mic? Okay. Well, he says support it. Frank, proxy, comments?
Yes, just a few words. As you can hear from the chief from Sachiko Lake First Nation expresses disappointment in terms of the support, the lack of support that we're getting from ISC on funding, and also the lack of response from other agencies that we always requested help from are not available due to other emergencies they're attending to. So we also asked Nan Hope, and they said that this is what they told us, is that they have no funding to respond to any of the emergencies that requests that are coming in for the support. And it's because of the lack of funding that ISC has not provided because of the lack of extension that they're giving to them. I think it's very important that, you know, the ISC has been faltering or slowing down in relation to providing that necessary funds for emergency situations. Sachiko declared an emergency about 2 weeks ago, and we submitted a budget for the emergency funding that's required to support the workers that are there. There's only a minimal amount of workers that are available within the community, and as a result of the suicides and the deaths that I had over the past month, it has caused a stressful mental health fatigue. They're tired physically and mentally from all the strategies that they had to address. So one of the things that happened is that ISC, because of the funding that they got before for the last 2 years, $2 million, they said, we want you to account for that before we approve anything for that. But there's nobody there to be able to do that, provide that funding. I mean, to provide the accounting for it now, because the auditors are auditing the books at this time. So it's I don't know. It's pretty stupid to expect a First Nation Council to have the accounting of their money while they're being audited. So So anyways, that's one of the things that bureaucracy has done to our people, to continue to suppress them and oppress them in any situation that they get themselves into. We get the situation we face. So I think that's one of the things that we wanted to say, is to provide support for this group of agency to get funded, for this important work that they have. We need to continue that effort. So I want to thank you for the support to Nan Hope for the request for funding. Thank you.
Miigwech, Proxy McKay, seconder of the resolution. Just making a note, if you look up on the screen, there's a slight change to the resolution. The highlighted portion is yellow. We would like to remove that. It says until at least March 31st, 2023. It's repetitive from the previous whereas. So we'd like to scratch off that line. So just for the record, I need to confirm with the mover and the seconder. You're okay with that? Okay. Frank, you're okay with it? Okay, thank you. Any more comments or questions on this resolution? Second call. Any more comments, questions on the resolution that we have before you? And we have to keep an eye on the virtual platform as well. Nothing there. Last call. Any more? Yeah. Somebody's hands up? No? There is a hand up on there. It doesn't have the full name. Can you check that it is a chief? It's not a chief? Okay, it has to be a registered chief. So I don't see any more. So the resolution is before you. Any opposition to the resolution? Any opposition to resolution 2206? Final opportunity. Any opposition? I see none. Any abstentions? Second call. Any abstentions? Any abstentions? So I see none. Thank you very much. Resolution is carried. So we've got one more. I'm just going to go ahead and go right through it. We can put it up on the screen. So this will be, I think, resolution 2207. One more resolution. I'll just wait for it to come up on the screen. There we go. So for the record, again, we're going to title it 2207. It's called the NAN Infrastructure Needs Assessment. And again, I will just skip through the preamble. It reads, therefore be it resolved that NAN chiefs and assemblies support the development of a NAN Infrastructure Needs Assessment to support development of a factual infrastructure asset management report for each NAN community based on a sound methodology that will establish a solid and accepted foundation for discussions on mechanisms to fund the capital, operations, and maintenance investment needs for NAN communities. Further be it resolved that the NAN Executive Council will present the NAN Infrastructure Needs Assessment at a future Chiefs Assembly for approval by Chiefs. Finally, be it resolved that the NAN Infrastructure Needs Assessment and Operation and Maintenance Policy Reform shall work in alignment with tribal councils and communities. Dated at Thunder Bay, Ontario, this 12th day of May, 2022, moved by Chief Lot Sinuap, Kingfisher Lake First Nation, who is here. Seconded by Proxy Gary Quizis Nishnawbe, who also is here. Any comments from the mover and seconder? Chief Sinuap? You're good? Okay. All right, Miigwech. Proxy Quizis, you're good. Any more comments from the floor? Any comments or questions? Chief Chichu.
Hi, if the mover and seconder is okay with amending a bit of this resolution, I'd like something to the effect maybe in the last maybe to be a little clearer in the final be it resolved regarding alignment with tribal councils and communities. I would propose and recommend that It actually says that this would be without prejudice to other First Nations seeking funding and developing their own needs assessment, because we at Moose Cree are in the process of doing that right now. I know this is needed, and I think it's really good, but I think if we could add that phrase, I'd be comfortable with being okay with it.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, there's another hand up, but we'll deal with this first. So we'll just give an opportunity for the resolutions team to come up with some wording. And once we have that, we will highlight it in yellow and go through it. And then, of course, we'll go to the mover and seconder. So we'll just give them a minute to come up with some wording. Okay, so we have it up on the screen. It's highlighted in yellow. So the additional wording is, and this resolution shall be without prejudice to funding for similar projects by First Nations, tribal councils, and other First Nation entities. Chief Chichu, does that do it?
Yeah.
You're good with that? Okay, so I'm going to ask the mover, Chief Senwap, you're okay with it? Okay, seconder, Proxy Quizis, you're okay? Okay. Deputy Chief Carmody.
Yeah, I just wanted to share an experience I had with this same topic. I mentioned earlier, we tried to create a database with the same kind of information a few years ago at NAN. And what we encountered was that there was a lot of resistance to sharing that information with NAN. When we went to the governments for that information, they told us we have to seek permission from the community or own that information. And as well, a lot of this information is available under tribal councils. The tribal councils said the same thing to us. You have to get permission from the community. So that's what killed that project. We tried to accomplish it. We just let it go. And I didn't want to see that same thing happening with this effort we're trying now. And I think if there are other First Nations or tribal councils doing the same thing, they should share that information with NAN so that we can have a NAN-wide database of these important topics. Because as leaders, we're expected to advocate for these issues. But if we don't have the information to back up our advocacy, that's when we need this information to back up our advocacy. So I just wanted to let people know about that, what we went through at one point in time. I don't want to see that happening again. Yeah.
Miigwech, Deputy Chief. So I think that's a note to be taken back to the executive and NAN as they move forward with this resolution. I don't think I heard any changes or opposition, just a caution. So miigwech. Anybody else? Chief Chichu, your mic is on. I don't know if that's from before. Okay. Any more comments? Third call. Any more comments? So I don't see any. So the resolution is before you. Any opposition to resolution 2207? Any opposition? If you're on virtual, either unmute or raise your hand. We don't see any. Last call, any opposition? I don't see any. So any abstentions? Second call, any abstentions? Third and final call, any abstentions? So I see none. Thank you very much. Resolution is carried. So those are our three resolutions. Thank you very much, Chiefs. I'm going to turn it over to Co-Chair Connie and Cassandra to wrap up. Miigwech, thank you very much.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity.
What about the draft resolutions? The support for a coroner's inquest on blastomosis.
It went through.
Yeah.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that what you're asking me? or-
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just want to say thank you for the opportunity again to be a co-chair. It's always a learning experience. I just found out sitting in this forum that Cassandra's dad is my nephew, which makes her my granddaughter. I said, and then I remember Natalie Bingus has a little girl, so yeah, I guess we're getting up there in age. So, but miigwech, learned a lot here. So want to say a few words, quickly say a few words, and we're going to go into closing comments with Grand Chief, and then we're going to go into the prayer and the drum. Yeah.
Okay. So miigwech, thank you very much for hosting me as your youth co-chair. It's my first time doing this in person, and it's quite nerve-wracking to come home and to speak in front of the people I look up to. And so it's quite a humbling experience as well. Often when I'm at tables for the prime minister or politicians, it's very easy to tell them what to do. But when I come home, I really value the time to listen and to learn from all of you. So miigwech for allowing me to be your youth co-chair for the Spring Assembly.
With that, I'll call up Grand Chief for closing comments.
I know it's been a long 3 days, and I'm going to try keep it short. I just want to thank all the chiefs and delegates and elders and youth and women and the many of you listening on YouTube, Wawate, our translators, our staff, our co-chairs, our executive who've been amazing. We've been together for about 6 or 7 months now, and we meet almost more than monthly. We get some good discussions, good ideas, sometimes heated and sometimes good. And it's a great honor to work with this executive. If I've learned a lot from them, I hope they've learned a lot from me. And I know that we have a long journey of learning from our leadership and our people within the communities. And just some dates to make note of: June 14, 15, and 16. I'm not sure if we said this, but the Chiefs of Ontario AGM in Toronto at the Hilton, for those who will be attending. And of course, the Assembly of First Nations, July 5, 6, and 7 in Vancouver. As was announced, we have our mental health summit that we're going to announce, I assume, in the coming days there, Executive. And I'm sure I'll see many of you there. And I know that Victor, Deputy Grand Chief Linklater, will be having a health summit, I believe. And those announcements will come out soon. But we got about 90 to 100 days until Kiwewin, and we have roughly the second week of August set for Kiwewin, the Timmins area. We haven't picked an exact location, but mark those, kind of pencil those dates in for your calendar, and then we're planning next summer to go to the northern, one of our northern communities. I know it's a bit early with COVID and we're still recovering from COVID. I just want to say that with COVID, I ask you all to take care. We're still very much in a pandemic. We're struggling with outbreaks. We heard Chief Beardy, our colleague, just the hurt in his voice for his people. And even many of us struggling with the long COVID, the long-term effects of it. You know, I've had it a couple times, and I know some of our colleagues who wanted to be here are struggling with it. So we keep them in our thoughts and prayers. I'm going to leave it at that. But before I go, I wanted to introduce our new Chief Administrative Officer. She's been with us for about, I don't know, 1 or 2 months, since January 4th. Michelle Sanderson, I just wanted to allow her to come and say a few words. She's going to be with us for a long time, I hope. And she wants to greet you, and I'm going to allow her to say some words here. Michelle, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say what a pleasure it's been to be here and to learn alongside with everyone. And I'm looking forward to visiting and working with your communities, working alongside our dedicated staff here at Nishnawbe Aski Nation, and looking forward to this. And I also want to acknowledge the hard work of all the staff in planning this event, and they will be busy with underway with planning the Kwewin conference as well. Miigwech.
That is it. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you travel home safely. Miigwech.
So I'd like to call upon Elder Helen Camardi to say the prayer, and then we'll close with the drum song.
Watch ya. We've had long days, but then I've been hanging around Nan for many, many years, and we've always had long days. Some that run into the night, right? 2 a.m. is the latest that I remember in Deer Lake. And that day, the feast that I had worked with the communities to provide for the newly elected officers, that never happened until lunchtime the next day. So that was a long day. Yeah, but there are many memories like that. So today we think about our communities. We have many communities, some of the road access that have washouts, some of the main highways that have washed out and have isolated communities and have no other road. One like Red Lake, Pickle Lake has one. And there's a number of them, quite a few of them. Even Vermilion Bay has a washout. So you have to be very careful when you go home. But we also think about our communities. Our communities have had a spike in the number of cases. I was in the health field for 45 years, so don't mind me if I start spouting health advice. That's become a habit. It grows on you. But when you think about the communities, I have to also say that while you are all here and I can see all of you, I have to congratulate all of you leaders for all the work that you did during the pandemic. You were very strong, very smart, and very diligent in keeping your communities, your people safe. And the task you did, I deem commendable. So I have to thank you. And your executive that you had elected, they took over the reins of leadership in the midst of a pandemic. That's a difficult thing to do. All the communities were in lockdown, but they managed to get around and keep in contact with the communities, providing the leadership and the support. Lastly, your essential and non-essential workers that were in the community. They worked probably 24/7 keeping your communities, your people safe. They went up far above and beyond what they were required to keep their people safe and to stay healthy themselves. So I have to congratulate, and all of you have to congratulate each other for pulling together when Bearskin called for help. You know, that was awesome. That's something that the government never did. The governments, they didn't do that. You did it. And in the letter that we had sent out, there's 3 of us elders who sent out a letter, Barney and Terry and myself. And we said, you achieved all this. You came together in unity and you got your strength and you succeeded. So I have to congratulate you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. And today we give thanks for bringing us together. Give thanks to the Creator who has given us the strength, who has provided us the direction and the guidance to keep going, to move forward, and to help our people. We still have the many issues that we have had. But in order to overcome that, whatever we start, we must finish. And that's the only way we can achieve many of the things that we have to deal with. And we ask the Creator to help us, to walk with us, that if and when we do fall, that we get right back up on that spot and keep going. Many messages go by. I was with the police cadets, and one of them mentioned walking with God. And I said, you know, there is a saying, footsteps in the sand, 2 sets of footsteps, and every so often there's one. And the Creator said, that is when I carried you, my dear. So keep walking. God bless all of you. Have a safe journey home. And love your families. Love always, work in kindness and in respect. Na ako manawagak kina. Mis na ako magseman to naste. It's in kaso na kochi. Ikaw ni kawi at simane ni maya. Kuya chiwichi waya kito kuya. Chito tawaya kito. Mis na ako manan. It's in kaso kochi. Miya. Amen. Amen. Okay.